All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. We have our 2024 minor league player and pitcher of the year with us, Jimmy Crooks and Quinn Mathews. We're going to go ahead and start with a question and answer. If you guys want to utilize the raise hand feature, you just click on the react button and click on raise hands, and we'll call on you individually here. And just please remember to uh, direct your question. Tell us who you're asking, Jimmy or Quinn or both. So go ahead and start now. We'll start with Daniel Guerrero of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Oh, hi, Jimmy, Quinn. Thank you guys for joining us. Congratulations on the awards. My question's kind of for both, for whoever wants to answer, but just looking at the years that you guys had with all the accolades and the success, how do you kind of view this as, I guess, like a foundation for the winter and kind of propelling you guys to build off of into 2025?
I'll start, I guess. As a whole, it was just for me a good first year to get kind of under the belt in terms of the length and the number of starts that it was, just because pro ball versus college was such a big transition physically in terms of length, more so than anything. And also just getting used to what pro ball is and the players and the fact that, some days you could be pitching with one group and the next day you're with a different group and stuff like that. And I mean, I was fortunate enough to have the catching that the Cardinal system has, which made a lot of the transitions a lot easier. I mean, Jimmy could obviously, speak on that too, but when you have such quality players around you, especially at the catching position like the St. Louis Cardinals minor league system had, it made a lot of that, first year problems that I think I could have had in terms of pitch calling in games and just game speeding up, game slowing down, and a lot of that is dictated by catching. I mean, pitching does it too, but the catchers as a group did a great job. So, I think that as a whole just made my first year a lot easier.
Yeah, to piggyback from that, Quinn had a really good year. I mean, I loved catching that dude. He made my job really, really easy. Same with the whole pitching stuff up there in Springfield. But, it's as the catching aspect of it, we don't really get all the spotlights all about on the pitchers, but it's kind of both. We worked our asses off, we game planned, and we did everything what we needed to do. But yeah, no, the accolades in this, it's pretty good for me. This is my third year technically. Still trying to figure out the little routines and start trying to stay healthy because I did have two injuries this year. But I think it's more of a mental thing for me to where like this next coming up year or spring training, just have a better routine with myself, try to stay healthy and just keep working with it, because I'm starting to get more comfortable as we go. That's what I feel like. I'm starting to get a lot more comfortable with game calling, just how I play and everything like that. So, I mean, I guess as the years go on, I'm going to start getting more comfortable, trusting my stuff, and then getting after it.
John Denton, MLB.com.
Hey guys, thanks for doing this today. Jimmy, I just wanted to ask you about you threw out 25 runners this year, 29 last year. Has that always been a strength for you? And what were the two injuries you dealt with this year?
Yeah, so the first injury was the hamstring in Amarillo. The other one was against, I'm pretty sure the Tulsa. I broke my finger, which that was kind of rare, but um, something that you can't really, you know, think about as much. It just happens. It's just a weird coincidence that it did happen. But like I said, it'll help me mentally and physically to where like I need to start working on all that stuff so that I can play pretty much a whole season without one injury. But it's kind of hard in the position that I am. But yeah, my strong suit behind the plate, I honestly, it's between one calling games, receiving, and throwing runners out. But I've always had a pretty decent arm. I didn't really notice it until college. This year, not many people ran on me, and when they did, it was kind of, they were out sometimes. So, but not to be too cocky, but yeah, no, that's pretty been my strong suit. It's just more of the footwork and being more accurate. That really worked on this year to where I can throw it to anywhere and be pretty accurate.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Lynn Worthy, St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Hello. Hi. Yeah, question for Jimmy. I wanted to ask because somebody who had saw you in the past thought that maybe that you had looked a little different behind the plate this year. I wondered if there was anything in particular going into this season that you changed, whether it was the setup or just defensively, and what went into that.
Yeah, so these past 2 years, each spring training, I kind of had two different stances to where one to feel comfortable with one another and talking to all the big leaguers as Wilson Contreras and Pedro Pages now, and a little bit with Ivan. So, but this year they were really big on the one knee down emphasis because it helps one with receiving, two helps with blocking, and a little bit with the footwork. So it was pretty key to kind of pick all their brains and what I need to do behind the plate to where I can have some success. So it was good. I mean, I learned a lot from Contreras with the one knee and try to be as quick as I can to steal strikes as much as I can, help the pitchers out. I think that's a big key in what they were emphasizing up there in spring training when I went up there. It took a little bit, but I started to get a lot more comfortable with it because with throwing, it was a little complicated, but I started to figure it out. But yeah, no, it was a good thing for me. It helped me blocking tremendously, which I think that was my weak point this last year, but this year was a lot better. And receiving everything was a lot better too. So yeah, no, picking their brains with the one knee stuff helped a lot because, like I said, it helps me steal strikes and helps me with my footwork a little bit and blocking.
And just to follow up on that, so is that something that it sounds like came out of conversation just with some of the big league catchers? Is that where the change came from, or where that
For
originated?
sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, I'm going to try to pick their brains as much as I can because they're playing at the highest level. So, yeah, no, we really worked on it all throughout the spring training. And it was new to me. And I'm pretty sure it was new to all the other guys too. But they really helped me a lot and, helped me stay focused on that because, like I said, it made it easier on my legs and my body and everything.
Go to Brian Walton with the Cardinal Nation.
This question is for Quinn. First of all, congratulations on the many honors you've received so far this year. I have a two-part question, both related to AAA. First of all, it's very unusual to get 3 promotions in 1 year. Did you kind of expect that you might get to Memphis, or were you focused on Springfield at the time? And then the second part of my question is, what did you see different in AAA? Obviously, you didn't put up the same kind of numbers in your debut at that level that you did elsewhere, but these are obviously much older, much more experienced hitters. So the second part is, what did you learn in your brief time in AAA?
Yeah, so the first part of that, I don't think I didn't really set an expectation as to where I thought I wanted to or needed to end up at the end of the year. The goal going into every single week is just how do I get ready for my next start, basically. I don't really take it any further than that. I don't look into the future. I don't do anything crazy like I need to be here, I need to be there. So I think that probably helped not setting that true expectation of where I needed to end the season. So, I mean, that doesn't really, help that question of whether I thought I should be in Springfield or Memphis or Peoria at the end of the year. And then the second part, AAA was just different. I mean, at all 3 levels previously, my first 3 starts, if you go and look at them, were not what the whole body of work was. So unfortunately, I only got 4 starts at the AAA level, as well as my stuff. Those last 4 starts wasn't quite what it had been all year in terms of execution, as well as just like sheer stuff. So when you are putting, the best hitters in the box that I've arguably faced, as well as the best approach with diminishing stuff and lack of execution, you're not going to have success. I mean, I found some success in the 4th start where I put together 6 innings, which had been my longest body of work at the AAA level, but there was a lot more than just, I think, the quality of hitters and opponents that went into it. Again, obviously, they're the best hitters that I'd faced in my career, but at the same time, the stuff and the execution went down. And that's something I really need to, kind of look into my training regimen this offseason because, you can't afford to get tired in September and October in professional baseball.
Thank you.
Go back to Daniel Guerrero, Post-Dispatch.
Jimmy, just around this time last year, you were at the Fall League. How much of the strong year you had this year kind of goes back to the stuff you worked on out there and the stuff you kind of focused on and the reps you got out there?
Yeah, it was more of a mental thing for me out there because I go from playing every day to playing like once or twice during the week. So it was more of a mental thing to me out there, but the level of competition out there was really good. I mean, you're facing pitchers that are just dudes in each program. So, and like, it was good. It was good for me. And like I said, going in this past year, it helped me a lot with the mental side and, what I need to start expecting because, I mean, all these pitchers are really good. Same with the defenders and hitters, and each person's different. So, but like I said before, it's just all mental to me. And once I got back to my off season program, I kind of kicked it in gear because I know what to expect, kind of going from from high A to double A and so on and so forth. But yeah, no, it was like I said, it was just more mental than anything for me.
Just if I can follow up on that mental thing. I mean, when you look at this year and especially with the walks and the increased power with the slugging, I mean, are those some of the mental things that you were looking at too, or are those more mechanical that you focused on in those aspects?
It was a little bit of both, more or less with my approach and just tinkering around with my swing a little bit. I've been getting really good help from my off-season program, my hitting coach up there in Wichita, Kansas, Derek Norris, which he's been really helping me. Same with Casey Chenoweth, he was in Double A. But yeah, no, we really emphasize with just having a good approach and sticking to it, and both from the left side and right side are from pitching. So really helped me this year to stick to one approach and keep it because I was having some success with it, and you know taking around with the swing when I was getting fatigued and, when I was feeling good, just bouncing around with it.
Cool. Thank you, Jimmy.
Go to Derek Gould with St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Hey guys, thank you all both for joining us today, and congratulations on your honors. Can you guys hear me here? Is that okay? Yeah, okay, thanks. Just making sure it's coming from a car. Hey, you all have both kind of touched on it a little bit, and Quinn, when you and I have spoken, you mentioned how important last year's off season was to you. I wonder what you guys have planned for this off season. When you kind of alluded to the fact that you kind of want to talk about the stamina and pitching deeper into the game. Jimmy, might part of your off season be part of the one knee down and what that might look with? Can you guys just kind of take us through some of the details of what you'll be doing this off season, both goals, but also just maybe details of where and what you'll be doing?
For me, the off season will look actually probably pretty different than what it did last year, just because I mean the length of time as well as the workload of the year was different. College versus professional, you kind of have different workloads and stuff like that. And last year's emphasis was on velocity more so as this year is just getting ready and building up to start earlier and hopefully pitch later into the year if that makes sense. Like spring training will come earlier, and the expectation is there's still teams playing baseball. So obviously that's the expectation for Jimmy and myself as well, I would assume. So it's just preparing the body and the mind for a longer haul of a year. I don't know if I'll really change anything. The Cardinals have a good lifting program that I follow pretty detailedly, and as well as just working with my guy Bryson Nakamura, and we'll put together an off-season throwing program that gets me ready to hopefully put together the best year I can in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing to where like I need to be a little bit more explosive and working on my hammies a lot because I think I've been having problems with that the past couple of years. But that's a big key is kind of having trying to find a good routine for myself so that so I can play the whole year without one injury. But yeah, no, that's a big key is to get stronger, be more explosive, be more torquey just with the swing and everything, and then keeping my legs healthy just for the long season that's coming ahead because with catching, your legs are going to get fatigued, and you need to find a way to where you need to keep them healthy and strong, and so that it doesn't translate to anything with the hitting side or catching side of it. So, but yeah, and then just with the swing aspect and catching aspect of it, I mean, the swing, just going to do a little tinkering around with it, trying to find a little bit more power, and keep the same approach like I talked about, but more or less just being a little bit more explosive, see if we can find anything that I can unlock a little bit more for the exit velo or bat speed or whatever. And then the catching, just, it's all repetition with catching, just receiving, and then just how it is in spring training and throughout the season. It's just repetition work. That's all it is.
Thank you both. Thank you.
We'll go back to John Denton, MLB.com.
Quinn, you mentioned at one point during one of our conversations that you thought your biggest improvement was your curveball. How did that pitch change you, or how did it make you better this season? And also, are you looking forward to maybe some starts in spring training with the big league club?
Yeah, the curveball was really cool until it wasn't this year, if I'm going to be honest with you. I used it quite a bit when I had good shape early on, and then, I mean, like anything great in life, it falls apart eventually. So it fell apart on me, I'm not going to lie. So it'll definitely be a point of emphasis this offseason to try and get some of that shape back. I don't need it to be honestly as good as it was early in the year with the depth and the horizontal, but it would be nice to have better shape there just to have that fourth pitch once again, because I do think there is, quite a bit of value in there to have a fourth pitch that goes more north to south than east to west, as well as, I mean, obviously you're excited for any new challenge, any new opportunity, but nothing really changes. And at the end of the day, you're still throwing the ball the same distance, and there's still only one hitter in the batter's box. So nothing will really change except for the names on the jerseys at the end of the day.
Okay, thanks.
Go back to Lynn Worthy, St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Yeah, for Quinn, I was curious. You mentioned late in the season, sort of your stuff not being quite the same. I wondered for you, is when you say that, is that a measure of just sort of the swings and the way batters are approaching, or are you diving into sort of numbers and stuff? How much of that is what you're referring to when you look at that sort of thing?
Truthfully, this is the eye test for me normally. I have a pretty good feel as to where my stuff is, especially like throughout a season. You'll get a gauge of like, okay, this is like my normal stuff today. This is a little better than normal. This is a little worse than normal. And again, that's just the normal eye test for me. The numbers would back that up. I believe, the velocity dropped a little bit towards the end, especially in AAA. The shapes of the breaking ball kind of got inconsistent. The shape of the fastball got a little inconsistent. The changeup changed with the difference in minor league ball to big league ball, so that'll be interesting to see if that continues, because I think it actually benefited me a little bit changing baseballs there versus the other pitches. It kind of hurt me, but I think it was just overall consistency and like the actual pitching, so like the arsenal as well as just the command, so the execution of it all, and that's where, I mean, again, you're gonna pitch 25 plus games for the first time. I've never played a game in September, and the stuff changed and just wasn't as sharp. And at times, I tried to do too much, which you can't really do when your body isn't able to respond. You kind of just have to pitch with what you have and go out there and compete at the end of the day.
And was it? It sounded like you're alluding to this, but I was just wanting to clarify. Was it pretty much, or did you conclude pretty much that it was just the length of the season, the first pro season, or do you think there was more to it? I mean, aside from the changeup, because you mentioned the change in the ball, but I mean, you feel like the stuff was a result of length of season, longest season that you've had, or was there anything else to that?
I think it was the length. You play so many more days. You're on your feet so many more days at the professional level versus the college level, and with the six games a week, and the spring training was March through basically September versus it's, I don't know, February through June. So your body is going to take more wear and tear. And again, kind of what Jimmy alluded to, I probably need to do a little better job of my routines and taking care of my body and making sure that when I do feel good the first couple of months, I'm not like missing stuff. I'm not skipping stuff just because I do feel good, because I now know that the result may be that it bites me on the back end when, again, at the big league level, the games only become more and more important as you get into the later months of the year. So that's little things that you can control. And obviously I need to make adjustments and be better.
Go to Brian Walton, Cardinal Nation.
Quinn, you mentioned the importance of having a viable fourth pitch. Tell me a little bit about your pregame routine. Some guys, as you know, are really, really regimented, really, really superstitious. Kind of where are you in that scale in terms of how you prepare before game day and then on the day you start? And then second part of the question is, when you're warming up, do you already have a feel when you take them out in the first inning, which pitches are going to work? Or does sometimes that evolve for you during a game and you end up changing the mix? Or maybe I should ask Jimmy that question. I don't know.
Yeah, you could probably ask Jimmy that question as well, just because he catches so many more guys, so he probably has a better feel. But the first part of that question, I think the routine element of professional baseball has definitely changed. College, I'd literally just go out there basically on Fridays, warm up for about 5-10 minutes, and then just go throw 100 plus pitches and be good until the next week. So the regimen definitely changed. I'm definitely, I have my pregame stuff now, which is good. All the exercises, the warm-ups that I need to feel good, on 5-6 days rest. I don't really want to talk you through it unless you want to hear the whole regimen. I guess that one's up to you. But it's like I probably started about an hour and a half before game time. I was probably listening to music for about an hour before that. So just trying to get mentally and physically ready to go. And then it's nothing too crazy though. Like I'm not doing anything insane. I'll just, do whatever I need to do, the regimen that I've set, which like I said, I developed a pretty good one this year, I feel. So I'll probably stick with it for a while unless I need to, or I have like a area of soreness or something like that makes me change it, where I have to warm something up a little more or something like that. And then stuff, yeah, I have no idea what I've got until I'm probably in the second or third inning of a game, if I'm being completely honest with you. And that's where, the art of pitching, so to say, is very important as a starting pitcher, just because you can work into games, you can work into stuff. You might not have a fastball command early on, but if you have good enough secondary stuff and secondary command, you can kind of wiggle your way through it until you pick and choose your spots to find the fastball or find the changeup or find the slider or even find the curveball. And that's where, yeah, you unfortunately don't really know, or I don't really know what I have. You could throw the best bullpen of your life and go out there and be done in an inning and a third because it just didn't translate to the game, and vice versa. You could throw the worst bullpen of your life pregame and be like, I'm in trouble today, and then go out there and throw 6 scoreless. So that's where it is tricky at times, just because for me at least, I don't always know what I have when I'm going out there.
Let me then go ahead and just ask Jimmy the same thing. When you've got a pitcher, say Quinn, and you're warming him up, and then you get into the game, how do you determine what it looks like is working? Obviously, you can see movement and balls and strikes, but number one, how do you see it? And then number two, how do you communicate it and work with the pitcher during the game?
Well, yeah, it's different going from the bullpen to in game. You got all the adrenaline going once you step on that mound in front of a hitter. Everything's gonna change from the get-go, from the mound, from the bullpen mound to the game mound. But yeah, no, we kind of communicate it on a before basis, kind of like in that hour 30 mark. We have a little pitcher catcher meeting, discuss what the game plan is with certain hitters or what we need to do to accomplish a good outing in a sense. But yeah, no, kind of know when he's starting to feel good and just regular toss. I know when his velo's up and if he's feeling good that day. And then once he gets on that little bullpen mound, I know what pitches are going to be working that day. In a sense, that's just how I know. He might not say it, but I know that there's some pitches like his slider, his changeup. I know they're going to work all day. I didn't have any problems with him catching on him when I was in Springfield. So it's kind of hard to tell for me. But yeah, once he got in the game, we kind of started using the curveball a little bit more, and that's where he kind of got a little bit better feel of it. And we started using that a little bit more, and it was really good pitch. He didn't think it was, but I thought it was a really good pitch, and we started throwing it a little bit more. But yeah, there will be certain times where he's in trouble, but I know that his secondary pitches will be working in and out. His sliders, change up, and then the curveball eventually came through too. So, but yeah, he, like I said before when we started here, I was like, he made my job really easy. It wasn't really hard to tell if he's going to be on or off, but he was on the whole time he was there. So, we just threw everything in the mix, the whole kitchen sink, and it worked out.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel?
I just have one more for Quinn. The improvements with the velocity were obviously a big thing coming into the year and a big thing in the offseason. How did you see that sustain over the course of the year, and what did you learn about what it's like to keep that, with the entire body of work, with all the innings you threw?
Yeah, so the joke that I would have with the people that I would talk about my velocity and stuff like that was like I'm gonna wake up one day and it's gonna be gone, basically. Like I'm gonna be back to what I was, which is not a fun thought to be going to bed with every single night, but it's unfortunately the one I dealt with for, honestly, I'm still dealing with it a little bit. But the throwing program I had the year before, the offseason before, the whole emphasis was like, hey, we're not going to build you up to throw 100. We're just going to try and raise your floor, basically. So that was the whole mindset that I had going into the year was, how do you get rid of those 90, 91, 92 mile an hour heaters so that, hey, your floor now is, say, 93 or 92. So you're 92 to 95. On your good days, you'll be 93, 95, maybe stuff like that. That was the whole throwing program and the whole mindset that I had built with, Bryce, and the guy that built it basically for me was, we're just going to try and raise the floor and basically sustain it for the year. You may not hit 100, you may not hit 98, stuff like that, but we're just going to try and raise it a little bit. So then, you know, your average fastball maybe goes up a mile or a mile and a half. So that was just the whole mindset. And that's, I think, the reason why I was able to maintain it as long as I was this year.
Then just a quick follow-up of the starts that you had this year, that one at the end of August against Tulsa, the 12 strikeouts, perfect game bid with Jimmy behind the plate. Is that one of them that stands out to you?
Not really. It was just a start, to be honest with you. I don't really like the good ones or whatever. The bad ones, you want to ask me about the bad ones, we can talk about those because I remember all of those. But the good ones are whatever. You put them in the memory bank, especially against the good hitters. You're like, what did I have success with? And then, you know, Damon Keith hitting a homer on 3 straight changeups. You're like, all right, like maybe I learned from that. So little things like that, you don't really, the baseball highs and lows, the good games are cool, but I don't really remember them all that well. Like I said, the bad ones though, I could talk about those forever. Those still, you know, piss me off.
Well, thank you, Quinn.
Yep.
I think we have time for one more. I think the Zoom's going to kick us off in about 3 minutes. So Derek, if you want to take the last question here for Jimmy and Quinn.
All right, I got two, so I'll ask quick. Jimmy, what did we just learn about Quinn with his answer there? What did we just learn that you know as his catcher about what he said about focusing on the tough starts?
Nah, it's all bull crap, Tim. I know him. I know him too well. Like I pick him up pretty quickly. When he first got up there, he made a joke to me. He's like, "Oh, it's the worst day of the week." It's like, "What do you mean by that, Quinn?" It's like it's start day. It's like, "Oh my God, you're not going to be that type of guy." But no, I love catching Quinn. I love talking to Quinn. He's a homie. And, you know, it just that answer he's just fun. You know, like I said, like I know he's gonna go out there and dominate. I know he's just bull crapping all the time. So, but yeah, no, that's just how he is, and he's a robot on the mound. Like he's pretty steady paced here. He doesn't show any emotion. He just goes out there and pitches his ass off.
All right, thanks. You're going to run out of time, so thank you for that, Jimmy. I'll ask my other question another time. Nice to chat with you both. Thank you, guys.
Jimmy, Quinn, thanks so much for jumping on here with us today, and congratulations once again. And hopefully we'll see you up in St. Louis in January for to be recognized in person at the St. Louis Baseball Writers Dinner. So best of luck in the off season. Rest up, and thanks again.